All right, welcome in, I should say, to the Christmas episode of the Gabe Sports, where today is going to be a short podcast, and we're going to talk um, NFL football. We had two games here on Christmas, so I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. It was great, and I wanted to take some time here before the night ends to break down the two games that we had here today. The four teams that were on the schedule to play today, I think, are going to be in the playoffs. I thought they were going to be two great games throughout the week. Had a lot of conversation. Um, the early game, you had the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then the second game were the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans. So I just want to kind of take some time to break these games down. They're both now completed. And I want to say that my predictions, I'm two and oh. I got both of them right because just looking at these teams and reading what they have recently done, that's what I base my predictions on. I also hear a lot of the talk show guys and get their predictions and kind of want to hear what they think and why they think. And sometimes I agree and sometimes I disagree. I do a lot of research, but I got both of them right. And let's go ahead and start off with the first game, the early game today. Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. The Chiefs got the win. I took the Chiefs and they got the win 29-10. And we'll do the stats here in a bit. But going into this game, the reason I picked Kansas City, they were 15-1. There was a lot of talk about, they're barely winning games and they're not really playing great ball throughout the regular season. They missed a field goal, that's why they won. And they're not really dominating teams. They don't look as strong as they have before. And I kind of took all that into consideration because we have talks every day. I'm around people that love sports, and we're consistently talking. And I started thinking, this team though, they're Super Bowl champions, right? So to me, when you got the team and you've done it, you've been to the Super Bowl and you won a couple of Super Bowls pretty much with the same quarterback, pretty much same tight end, running backs, defensive guys, you tend to kind of not play tough. Now, I'm not saying that they purposely do this, but you already know if you're a fan or not a fan or you watch football, you already know this team can get it done. All they have to do is get in the playoffs because they've been there recently and they have won recently. They've been the last team standing. So whether they win or how they win really doesn't matter. You know that this is a team that if they're healthy in the playoffs, they can turn it up a notch because we've seen them do it. And then I think the most important thing is they know they can do it. So they tend to not play. In other words, this team is built for the playoffs, not so much the regular season, right? You don't really see them dominate teams, but if they're winning, no matter how they're winning, come playoff time, that this team is going to be ready. And now with this win, um, the road to the Super Bowl has to go through KC. So I was really never concerned that this team would be a tough. Like I never said that this team is. Oh man, they're gonna get beat. I thought they're still the best team, even though they're not playing great. We'll see in the playoffs because I think they got the best quarterback in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. And as long as you got Mahomes, you got a chance. And so I never bought this. They're struggling. They didn't look good, but I knew come playoff time, I think they're gonna start to get better. Today, you saw them beat a good Pittsburgh team. They got a good defense. Of course, they've got some injuries, the Steelers do, but still, they got the win on the road 29-10. And I thought the reason I picked Kansas City because even though defense wins championships, and Kansas City had their leader on defense out, I felt Kansas City's offense was a lot better than Pittsburgh's offense, right? Like you take Russell Wilson at home. I thought that was an advantage for them. I said they're at home, so that'll be a little bit of an advantage. They get their receiver George Pickens back. I think that's going to be an advantage for them. But I still didn't think that they were going to have enough to beat Kansas City because Kansas City's offense I thought could score in those tough situations. If the game was close, like I thought it was going to be closer, then I'm taking Patrick Mahomes to drive my team down there and get a touchdown or a field goal versus having to have Russell Wilson and be confident that he can take that team down. Like if it's a last minute drive for the team to get a field goal or a touchdown to win the game, man, my money's on Patrick Mahomes over Russell Wilson. So I just thought overall, Kansas City's offense was just better, and they could score more points than Pittsburgh, and that turned out to be the way it ended. So Kansas City gets to win 29-10. I mean, Patrick Mahomes 29 of 38 for 320 yards. He had 3 TDs. And Travis Kelce, 8 receptions, 84 yards. Again, those guys, they get it done. No surprise there. The run game really wasn't effective for Kansas City. Only 69 total yards on 20 carries. And the pass game, like I said, Kelsey 84 yards and 8 receptions. Xavier Worthy 79 yards, 8 receptions. Justin Watson 60 yards on 2 receptions. So overall, the passing game was great for Kansas City. 29 receptions, 320 yards total of 3 TDs. So they get the job done. Look, I think KC is going to be tough, man, in the playoffs, especially at home. It'll be cold. So if it's Baltimore, if it's Pittsburgh, if it's Buffalo, now these teams, Buffalo, they're used to the cold weather. Baltimore, so it's not going to really affect them as far as the weather. But you're gonna have to beat Kansas City in Kansas City. So we'll see how all that turns out. But the road again is going to go through KC, and I think they're going to be tough, man. I mean, like I picked Baltimore at the very start with the addition of Derrick Henry. I like them. We'll talk about their game here in a bit, but I'm going to stick with Baltimore. I think Baltimore's capable of going in there and beating KC. I think Buffalo, the way Josh Allen has played, I think they're capable of going. So I don't think there's no one that has a chance. Denver's scary, real scary, right? Like I wouldn't want to play Denver because if you don't come with your A game, that team can beat you if they get into the playoffs. I think they're already in. I'm not sure. I think they've got to win this Sunday to get in, but I think they'll be there. So, I mean, there are teams that could go into Kansas City, but they're going to have to play their A game. It's going to be tough to beat these guys at home, and that's what you're going to have to do if you want to get to the Super Bowl. For Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson, 23 of 37, 205 yards. He had that one interception going into the end zone. The running game, 31 carries, 202 yards. Najee Harris, 74 total yards on 13 carries. Jalen Warren, 71 yards, 11 carries. And then, the passing game, 23 receptions, 25 yards. So not good enough, nowhere near good enough. And look, I think Pittsburgh, I think that's going to be the problem. The offense, they can't score enough points. I mean, defensively, no one is going to talk about Pittsburgh's defense because we know they're good. We know they're legit. They do have some injuries. They're not 100%, and that affects the defense. But for Pittsburgh, they've got to play great defense to win games, especially against these elite AFC teams, right? Like Buffalo, who's got these great quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, um, Patrick Mahomes, even Joe Burrows, if somehow they get in. I mean, these are great quarterbacks, right? So Pittsburgh wins with defense. So they've got to be healthy on defense because that's basically how you're going to win ball games. They're going to win ball games, right? They're not going to beat people with offensively. But if there's one knack, there's one thing that would concern me about Pittsburgh is their offense. I don't know how good they can actually be. And 10 points isn't going to beat these elite teams. I mean, if your offense is scoring just 10 points in a game, you're probably not going to beat Kansas City or any of these teams that I just mentioned. So offensively, they've got to find a way to control the clock when you play these type of quarterbacks. So, because if you're as good as that defense is, you give these quarterbacks an opportunity that eventually they're going to burn your defense. And so you've got to be able to score points. I'm not so sure that Pittsburgh can do that offensively. And so I think that's going to be the hard part for them. Their defense is great, but I don't know if they're going to get very far if they get into the playoffs simply because offensively, I'm not confident that they can score the points needed in the playoffs to get far. So we'll see how it turns out. But that's what I'm thinking. Those are my thoughts on this team. But a great win for the Kansas City Chiefs, man. They're good, and no matter how they're playing, they're going to be a tough out for anybody. And again, the road to the Super Bowl in the AFC is going to have to go through Kansas City. Let's see if or which team can beat them, if any. And then the second game today were the Baltimore Ravens that were traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. Um, I picked Baltimore. Like I said, I have Baltimore going to the Super Bowl in the AFC. But this was ugly. And let's go to Houston first. A lot of injuries for Houston. They've been struggling somewhat. They have not been the team. Last year around this time, they were looking a lot better than they look now. But there are some injuries to their receivers, right? They got Stephon Diggs. They've got some of the receivers, so they're not 100% offensively. That hurts a team, right? If you don't have your star players, especially toward the end of the season, getting into the playoffs, the team's going to look different, right? And so they had some injuries, but again, they have not looked very good. A bad showing today, 2 points. It's bad when a team can't score a touchdown. Houston's going to win their division. Indianapolis is 7-8. They're the closest one. The other two teams are really bad. So Houston's gonna win the division and they're gonna get in the playoffs. But I'm telling you right now, from what I saw today and what I've seen the last couple of weeks, they might be one and done. They're definitely not gonna make a run like they did last year. They just don't look very good. If you look at their stats, Stroud today was 17 of 31 for 185 yards. He had the one interception, but their run game, man, was 17 carries, 58 yards. Joe Mixon, 26 yards, 9 carries. That's awful. I think they need to run the ball, especially with these injuries that they have to their receivers. They've got to be able to run the ball. And today, credit that defense for Baltimore, but they looked awful running the ball. You're not going to win games running it like that. Offense, I mean, on the pass, 18 receptions, 190 yards. Nico Collins, 3 receptions, 59 yards. John Mechie, 5 receptions, 48 yards, but not good enough at all. This team really looks bad right now. With one game left in the regular season, like I said, Houston is going to get in the playoffs. But playing like this, I think they're going to be one and done. Not confident at all. And this team definitely are not looking the way the team looked last year. So again, they do have injuries, and that's playing a big part into why we're seeing the offense struggle the way they are. But at the end of the day, you got to find a way to win these ball games, and you get into the playoffs, and you don't want to go into the playoffs with a 2-3 game losing streak. So next week is important. We'll talk a little bit more next time on Houston when we talk about them and their next week's game. But they are not looking good going into the playoffs. But the Baltimore Ravens, man, they're looking good. I mean, they are looking sharp. Like I said, I have Baltimore winning the the team that's going to represent the AFC. Not sure if that's going to happen, but with the addition of Derrick Henry, I thought that was a possibility. But Lamar Jackson today, 10 of 15, 168 yards, 2 TDs. Not spectacular statistically wise with the pass, but what he did and how he hurt Houston. And this is what I think they have to do more of. Is he had 4 carries, 87 yards on the ground. He had that one TD. He was huge running the ball. The announcers kind of talked a little bit about tucking it down, and the defense for Houston not keeping them inside. They let him get to the outside. This guy's gonna hurt you, man. He can run, and he definitely hurt that Houston defense today. Derrick Henry, 27 carries, 147 yards, one TD. So the ground game with the combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is what won the game for Baltimore. But this is what they do. And this has been something, when Lamar passes the ball a lot. And I understand that they got to pass, the ball, but you're going to win on the ground, right? You got Derrick Henry, right? You need to be able to run when they run the ball effectively. And Derrick breaks that 100-yard mark, and he's had a great season. I mean, he's only behind Saquon Barkley, but he has done great. They're going to win more games than they lose, and they're going to be a hard out for any defense that has to play these guys. And then you add Lamar Jackson's ability to run the ball And I think they have to do more of that. Really puts a lot of pressure on that defense. I loved what I saw from Baltimore today, and I love the way that they won the game, right? They won the game, the ground game. A lot of pressure on that defense with Derrick Henry running, with Lamar Jackson putting pressure when he was running the ball, when there was nothing open out, instead of forcing the ball, tucked it down. You have the ability, you're one of the better quarterbacks, top one or two quarterbacks that can run that ball. And puts a lot of pressure on that defense. Right now, they got to worry about if they're going to blitz and they don't get him, he's going to go. So I want to see more of that, especially next week and into the playoffs. I think that's the way Baltimore can win. So I want to see Lamar Jackson tuck it down more than I'd seen. I want to see more of what they do, like they did today against that Houston defense. And if they do that, excuse me, they're going to be a tough out. So a great game today by the Baltimore Ravens. And again, they went 31-2. Not to mention that offensive line for the Ravens did a great job. We got to mention them because they were huge, opening up those holes. I mean, Derrick Henry was running right through there. And when he gets to that secondary, those cornerbacks, they don't want to see Derrick Henry coming at them. They don't want to have to tackle him too many times. But great job by that offensive line for the Ravens, as they're starting to hit their stride too. We talked a little bit about, you know, Kansas City and the way that they played today, right? It seems like today, if they're going to play like that, they're going to be a tough out. Well, Baltimore's the same way, right? They looked really good. And could they be hitting their stride right at the right time as the playoffs are approaching? Let's hope so. But I think this is a combination for Coach Harbaugh. He needs to be able to run Lamar Jackson more, hand the ball off to Derrick Henry. I mean, you got to pass, but Derrick Henry has to have 20 something carries, right? He's your hoss, man. He's the guy that puts pressure. Not to mention, he can, when they can run the ball, they control the clock, and their defense gets a lot of rest. And when you're playing a Josh Allen or you're playing a Patrick Mahomes, right? You don't want to go three and out, and give those quarterbacks an opportunity, because eventually it doesn't matter how good your defense is. Joe Burrows and Patrick Mahomes, eventually, if you keep giving them opportunities, they're going to cash in. So that's why I picked Baltimore, because I think they have the offense, especially where when they're leading going into the fourth quarter. You use that big dog you have. That's why you got him, and you lean on him. He's a fourth quarter type running back, right? He'll take you home. So glad to see him get 27 carries, broke the 100-yard. Lamar Jackson added his numbers, and Baltimore was way too much for that Houston defense, 31-2. So it's going to be great, man. The playoffs are coming, and, I can't wait for the playoffs. One more week after this weekend. And then we go into the playoffs. And listen, the Chargers might be in the AFC. Denver, those are scary teams. Although I think the Chargers still got a little ways to go. To me, Denver, they're scary. I don't know if anybody wants to play Denver, because I think that team can beat some of these top teams, right? Like you almost knew Sean Payton was going to get this team rolling, and I don't think we've seen the best from Denver. But I think with the Chargers in there, with Denver, if it stays that way, I think there's going to be some good competition in the wild card round. Now, let's not forget Joe Burrows. I mean, they probably are not going to make the playoffs, but boy, wouldn't you love to see? I would love to see Joe Burrows in Cincinnati, because offensively, Joe Burrows, even though the numbers and their record is not great, Joe Burrows has had a great season. And I love watching that guy offensively with Higgins and Chase. They're fun to watch offensively. So I I wouldn't mind seeing the Cincinnati Bengals in the playoffs, because I think it'd be a lot of fun to see these guys put up a lot of points. I'd love to see Joe Burrow in the playoffs, but that's probably not going to happen. There's just like a slim chance. You never know, but probably not going to happen. It might be the Chargers in Denver that we see up there. We'll see how things go, but the playoffs are coming, and I'm really excited about a week and a half to go before we get to watch some NFL playoffs here. It's coming right around the corner. Not to mention, in a couple of weeks we got the bowl games for college, and the playoffs are coming. So my Longhorns are in the second round. So I'm hoping they can get a win over Arizona State. So we'll break all that down too in the upcoming days here before those games start. And we'll have some other bowl games we'll talk about as well. But a lot of football in the next couple of weeks, man. So we're going to be talking a lot about that here on Gabe's Sports here. And don't forget that It's just the audio version because it's just me. If I have someone coming on that wants to debate, then we'll, put the video back on. But it's just me talking football, giving you my points, and just what I think and who my teams are. So instead of seeing me, you can just hear my voice. But you can definitely chime in and debate with me. This podcast gets uploaded to Gay Sports Facebook and Twitter page, so you can click on the link and definitely here it's also on the Gay Sports, our YouTube channel. So they're all over our Gay Sports social media platforms. And then it's also uploaded to our Spotify. So you just kind of type in Gay Sports on Spotify and you can just kind of go down there. And all of these podcasts are available on audio. We talk football, we talk NBA, MLB, and we talk college sports as well. So just kind of click on whichever podcast episode you want to hear, and they're all there on Gay Sports. That's on Spotify. And eventually, I'm going to put Gay Sports on Pocket Cast. This Gay Sports is not on Pocket Cast yet, but it will be here in about another week. So right now, you can get it on all our Gay Sports social media platforms: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube channel, and it's also on Spotify. So definitely, man, check it out. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. We also put up polls on our Gay Sports Facebook page. So definitely some people start to vote. So I'm hoping to kind of pick up more people voting and kind of pick up dialogue. There's a lot of people I know that love football. They love talking basketball. So we can debate that. I get a lot of that every day. We're talking. I'm trying to get those guys to come on and kind of engage with me on social media on the platform. So we'll see as I continue to do this. Hopefully the numbers will grow and more people will engage. It's all in fun, right? I like talking sports, but it's all in fun. And so hopefully you guys are joining. And hope you like the podcast. Like I said, I come in here, I watch these games, and I just kind of give you my point, what I think is going to happen, and then we do a little pregame sometimes, and then we kind of recap it. So a lot of fun. And again, the two games today were really great. All four teams, I think, are going to be in the playoffs. But Baltimore looked really good today. Kansas City starting to look a lot better, which I thought they would. So it's going to be a lot of fun in the playoffs. So definitely looking forward to that. But again, Merry Christmas. Have a great night. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk some NBA. A lot of NBA games going on right now. I'm watching them kind of. I'm watching the Lakers and Golden State. So tomorrow we'll recap these games that were played on Christmas. And I'll give you my thoughts on what I thought about some of these teams and where I think these teams are going, the ones that I think are going to peak, and the ones that I don't think are going to struggle down the road. So tune into that tomorrow. We'll talk more football, NFL, college, and we'll also recap the NBA games that were played today on Christmas. Have a great night. Once again, Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.